Welcome to the second episode of the XtextCasts. In this episode I will show you how to generate a parameterized enum. We start with creating a new Xtext project. And I will call my parameterized enum Enum. Enum here. Enum here, and the extension will be also Enum. Let's start with deleting the hello world grammar. So what kind of domain specific language we would like to accept? I give you just a small example. We would like to begin our enums with the enum keyword, then write a name, for example wizard pages or wizard page, and within the braces just define our wizard pages. Intro, name and address, and submit, for example. And then as a parameter we will take the human readable representation of these enum elements. So for example we would like here to say introduction, and I would like to keep it optional and provide a decent default behavior for those technical names. So let's implement our grammar. The model contains the list of the enums. The enum starts with the enum keyword followed by the name, then the curly braces, and in the middle the list of the elements. Enum element. The enum element is a simple name followed by the optional text. This is here, and I call it alternate text, since the text will be calculated from the name or provided by those optional alternate text. You will see it in a minute. So our grammar is complete, and we go ahead and generate all Xtext artifacts. Everything went well, so let's see what we get. And the interesting part is here. This is the generator that gets called. Let's write the generator. We start with the resource parameter, using contents to get the root element, the list of the root elements of our DSL files, and we filter it to get our expected model type. The model is the root class of our grammar here, and this is a list, so let's iterate over it. The model contains the list of enums, and we iterate over it also. Enum. For each enum we are going to generate a file, and the file
file name will start with the name of the enum and get the java.java extension. I will leave here the default package for the case of simplicity, and the content of the file, the Java code, will be calculated by this extension method. And this extension method we define here. Enum is the parameter, and we use the rich strings here. The rich strings provided by the extent, and is a very nice templating language. So here goes our enum Java code. It starts with a public enum and enum.name, the braces, and then we iterate over enum elements, just like that. For each element, we generate the enum element itself, and then as a string the human readable representation of the element. We call it text, and this extension method we define later on. After all those elements, we ended with a semicolon and write the rest of the code to provide this constructor and the getter. The constructor name is the name of the enum. This takes one parameter, and this should be private, of course. The parameter goes into this field, and it is accessible through getText method. And the last thing to do is define this XText extension method taking one parameter enum element. So the method text enum element is a parameter, and how should it work? We have two cases to consider. If the alternative text is provided, then that's very simple. We just return this alternative text. This overrides our default behavior, and the default behavior goes here. We take the name, and the name is normally something big. So uppercase, we convert it to lowercase first. Then probably we should convert the first letter to uppercase, and then replace these underscores with a space. With the space, just like this. This should provide the overridable decent default behavior. So, let's try it out. This is our second Eclipse instance, and in order to test our enum, we're going to create the normal Java project. Call it test. And here we are going to create the enum file. There's simple file with the enum extension. And we are asked to add the XText nature to the test project,
and we accept that, this adds the Xtext builder that runs our code generation. So let's see what we get. We can just define our enum like we wanted to. Intro, name and address, submit. And here we override the default behavior with the introduction word, and then we save it. As we save this file, the source.gen directory with the page Java file get generated. We add this to the source as a source folder and get our compiled enum. And as you can see, this is exactly what we wanted. The decent default behavior that we can override. So, in the second part of this video, I will show you how to add multiple dynamic parameters in a very cool way. Thank you for watching XtextCasts. Go to the XtextCasts.org to get show notes, discussions and more episodes.